Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about some life skilling. I decided to take a little bit of a break from the grind, just from one monotonous grind to another, but I felt like life skilling I've been neglecting a little bit and I've just been going too hard on just coming out with grinding videos and stuff like that, so I'm neglecting you life skillers out there. So for those of you interested in getting into life skilling, this is a pretty easy entry point. I'll go over how to get started as well as what the money is per hour for basically just, simplistic energy. I've only got about 305. 307 now actually because I did some reading, and the barrier for entry is also relatively easy because all you need is pretty much Logia gear and a little bit of mastery in the area of going to bear for a while and just grinding out some herbs for a bit and getting some master ranks and whatnot. I'm currently master 1 in gathering, which is not very high, but it does take a minute to get there, but if you have EXP buffs and boosts and stuff like that, you'll be able to get it in roughly about 2 days. That's assuming that you have the time to actually do that. If you're only going at about a few hours a day, you'll get there in about a week or so. Anyway, so as I mentioned, the best way to get started is honestly to just get some silver embroidered clothing from the marketplace and just go to bear and gather for X amount of hours. Once you hit about Artisan 1, that's when you can start thinking about purchasing some Logia gear, which you can go ahead and find some on the market currently. I would start with Tet chest piece and then get all tri accessories, and then you can go ahead and get probably a tri or Tet butcher knife. I think this is the best place to start. You can go with wood chopping or logging, whatever you want to call it, or even the hoe for herb gathering, but honestly I think butchering is where the money's at least currently as the market stands, which as of this video it'll probably shift because usually when I come out with a video explaining something about money, it gets eaten up for a few weeks and then goes back to normal. But my advice: start out with silver embroidered clothing, get your levels up to at least artisan, and then once you're about there, start swapping out to Logia, and then once you get some Logia gear, you're looking at about 800 mastery around that area. Once you get to that point, you can start going to Agri Step and making some decent money. It's a nice chill alternative from just a finger breaking grind if you play a class like Zerker, so I tend to really enjoy my life skilling time because it's way easier on the thumbs and I don't have to sweat as hard. Unless somebody steps in my rotation, then God help you. Anyway, so let's take a look at what we could possibly make per hour at Master Rank 1 and 850 Mastery with Tri and Tet Logia mixed in. So right here we got 5.6k meat, which is actually relatively decent for 1 hour. I'm not exactly mad at this. Usually if I just kind of cheap out and I don't use pots, I'll typically only pull about 4k, which is still not actually that bad, but 5.6 is pretty thick. Currently, as the market stands, wolf meat is selling for at max 8,000 or 8,400, whichever one. We'll just say 8,000 to be safe. And for 5.6k, we're looking at 44 million in just meat alone, which is actually pretty good because all I used was some medium pots, like energy pots and stuff, and I only used like maybe 2 large, which is pretty damn nice. And none of these are like pearl items or anything like that. These are just things I've gotten from the daily login and stuff like that, and energy off of other characters. So I didn't really even have to dip too much into a fund or anything like that. This is just backlog of stuff that I've had. So as I said, 44.8 mil, which is really good for 1 hour. And then if we take a look over here, we got 6 hards, 2 sharps. Not exactly the best pull that I've had. I've definitely pulled 10 of like almost each before, but that's super RNG carried and lucky. But this is relatively decent. Hards right now are selling for like a mil something, so it's like 6 mil right there. Sharps are about 2, so that's 4 mil right there. So not bad in this department either. Now the next big step of money right here is the black gem fragments. We got 56, and these sell for 500k a pop. So if we were to just sell the gem frags as is, we're looking at a solid 28 mil, which is pretty damn good if we add that onto the 5.6k meat that we got. So just from the meat and the gem frags alone, we're looking at 72.8 million, which I'm actually not that mad at. I usually pull a little bit less than this, but it was a good run. Some minor details that I would like to mention: this is with a tier 3 hedgehog pet, so I did pull a lot of meat via that. And obviously the mastery helps at 850. So if you're a little bit less in the mastery department, like let's say 800 or 750, you're gonna pull less than this 100%, but it's still gonna be viable money per hour that you can at least chill and not break your hands over. Some other factors that I would like to point is the simple cron meal is also a huge help because I think it's like 25 extra mastery. So the seafood cron, definitely really good. I think I said, did I say simple or seafood? Either which way, seafood cron, not simple. I apologize if I said something else. And some last mentions here, I managed to pull 7 Layla petals, which that's kind of crazy. I'm gonna scratch that because I actually don't know if that's accurate. Maybe that's just stuff that was in my inventory and I forgot. Outside of that though, we got 11 ancient dust, which I know for a fact I pulled because I put all my ancient dust in Alta Nova, so 100% that is from the run. And we got 4 raw Caphras, which not bad, not bad. I like it. So all in all, with everything added in, we're looking at about 82, 84 mil, which that's better than most grind spots currently that you have to break your thumbs at. Star's End is usually about 100 mil, Trees is about 80 to 100 mil depending on buffs you're using and how effective you are. Akhman is about 60 to 80 mil depending on your class. Histria, same thing, about 80 to 100 mil perhaps, probably less than that actually. Gratuga is like 50, 60 mil. So overall, I mean, this is pretty damn good for not even having to grind at all. At least in the sense of going to a spot and grinding with a real class and actually just tearing mobs apart. This is just run and done, kill some wolves, and then bop it a boopy, you make some bread. I tend to at least try and do this once a day. Recently, it's been about once a week, but for the most part, if I can do this once a day, I start off with, fresh 80 mil, and then that's just kind of my like runaway money for the day. Then I go around, do BA maybe, or I'll go to RBF, and then I'll go to a grind spot, run some scrolls perhaps, whatever I have, do a little enhancing, so on and so on. But usually I like to start my day with this because it's easy, it's a nice way to get your day started, and you got 80 mil in your pocket to mess with all day. Now, just to be clear, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to have to do a little bit of processing and setting up just to kind of get in there, and I don't mean like physical processing in the game, but just it's a process to set this up. It took me about, let's say, I think a little over 2 bill for this entire armor set at the time because, Logia had just come out when I bought this Logia stuff. So like the neck piece, for example, that costed me about 400 million, as well as the belt, that was another 400 million. And then the ring was roughly around the same pricing. So just from those 3 alone, I'm looking at like 1.4 bill, some shit like that. That's like 1.2 or some shit. But either which way, for 3 Tet Logia pieces, that's like 1.2 bill right there. And then the chest piece and then the butcher knife, literally another like 400 mil right there. So yeah, it's a bit expensive to get into, but it does pay for itself if you stay on it. Another thing to mention is that this is just from your raw run. If you actually tend to do something with these, you can turn this inventory right here into about, let's say about 200 mil. So if you know what to do, I can't tell you what to do because if I do, I will fuck the market. But if you do your research and learn what you can do with the wolf meat, what you can do with the gem fragments, what you can do with the hards and sharps, if you figure out what you can do with it and just take a look at the market, figure it out, do some research, you'll figure it out. Trust me, you'll find out. But if you do, you can turn this inventory right here from 80 mil to about 150 to 200. But if you're lazy and you just want to take the cheap route and sell everything raw, that's fine too. You play the game how you want, but just know that there is potential in everything here outside of what you see. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys learned something. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, she knows I'm the one. Yeah, she knows I don't need no kind. I don't